How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Mullen, which was up 5.60% on the Friday. It has been seeing a lot of momentum. If you remember what I said in my previous video, I wanted to see it get to the 50-day moving average at $1.39, and it saw a high on the Friday at $1.37. So again, of course, I want to keep you guys updated. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to be going on FinTel, taking a look at the recent short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for Mullen. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $1.32, being up 5.60%. On the low, it tested $1.21, and then on the high, testing $1.39. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 58.559 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 54.335 million shares. So you can see right away we had above average volume on the day, and we saw some strength in the stock. When we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it's at 53.70. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 200-day, but we are above the 21-day EMA, and we also did have a test above the 50-day moving average, which is currently at 136, and we wanted to see it touch 139, so we weren't far off whatsoever. But overall, we did finish below the 50-day moving average. So you can see that Mullen is continuing to see some strength, and we were able to form a higher low, and that's exactly what we wanted to see. So what I want to see from Mullen for this week, can we make that move to $1.55? That would be something you want to keep a very close eye on, because if we can get a clean break above 139, again, getting into the 150s is not far off whatsoever. If we decide to actually have a pullback, or if we want to consolidate, if we form another higher low, that is definitely a good look for the play. But as far as the trend is concerned, we are cupping up very nicely. We have done this in the past as well. But what we want to see this time around is it making that move to 155 and then seeing if we can get a test to 169. Of course, right here at 169, I can see some selling pressure coming in. So that's where you're going to want to see the bulls buying up the stock to see if it could push it up further. $2 does continue to be a psychological area, but to get there in the near term will be a difficult feat. But again, we're going to have to wait and see. But so far from what I'm seeing from the technicals, we had our dip to $1 and we're curling up nicely, looking like we're going to test, like I said, in the mid $1.50 range. Now let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent short interest information from Mullen. So the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 51.17%. And then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 12.09 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 550,000, updated 13 minutes ago. And then for the short borrow-free rate, it is at 11.62%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 16th, it is at 52.30. And then for the close of the 17th, being at 51.17. So it went down a little bit. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 8.86%, all we need is more buying volume coming into this play, and we can see Mullen continue to make moves to the upside. Now let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for Mullen. So we see on the inflow, it's at 26.23 million, and then on the outflow, it's at 10.01 million. So we had a strong inflow day. day. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large it was 14.86 million, on the medium it was 7.68 million, and then on the small it was 3.69 million. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large it was 0, on the medium it was 6.10 million, and then on the small it was 3.91 million. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see for June the 17th we had that big inflow of just under 15 million. And then when we analyze the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tends to represent the retail side, you can see that we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more buying than we had selling. And then for the large, which represents whales, institutions, and funds, that's where we had a lot more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 17.61%. No surprises there. We know that Mullen is a volatile stock, but one thing that is clear, we can see the big money is loading up on shares. I'll talk about this further in the final thoughts, so let's get into it right now. So for my final thoughts for Mullen in regards to the price action, it is showing a lot of strength, and we've talked about this many times already, especially since it filled in the gap at $1.03. It came down to $1. We had the bull stepping in, and it's continuing to have a run up. And for the past 4 trading days, it has been able to form higher lows, and you can see a continuation of higher highs as well. We saw the high of the day at $1.37. Remember, we had the 50-day moving average at $1.39, so we were 2 cents off, and that's why you want to keep a very close eye on this play, because if it does continue to run and it breaks above 139, the next levels you want to keep an eye on is around $1.55 and as well as $1.70. If we decide to have a pullback now, let's talk about the 21-day EMA. It is currently at $1.21, and Mullen found support at $1.21 on the Friday. So this is very bullish. If we can continue to hold support above the 21-day EMA or even right on it, it's going to look good for the play overall in general. But on that pullback, unless we break through that 21-day EMA and start falling below like $1.10, that's where I'd say, you know what, things are looking pretty murky. But in the meantime, Mullen is doing very well. The chart looks good, and just the fact that it has price action above the 21-day EMA is a lot to be excited about. But if you are playing the downside, I wouldn't be looking at that as of yet. But as far as for this week, there will be volatility. It could pull back, but I will make sure to keep you updated. We also can't forget the fact that Mullen is going to be added into the Russell, and we can clearly see from the order flow distribution, a lot of the big money is loading up. There's a lot of institutions and funds that follow the Russell, so they need to load up on those shares very quickly, and it's very clear to see that Mullen is experiencing a run-up because of it. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the recent short interest information, yes, there's many shorts who are vested in this play, but the buying pressure that we have been seeing has been able to move the stock up. So I'm not too concerned about it, but what you want to continue to keep an eye on is an increase in volume. The moment the volume starts dying down for this play, that's where we could start pulling back. You also want to keep an eye on the market conditions as well, especially for the tech sector, and also keep a close eye on IWM. Again, this is very crucial to make sure you have it a part of your game plan. And if you have been trading this, please remember, have your stops. You want to protect your profits. You don't want to get caught just watching the stock saying, you know what, it's going to continue to go to the moon. Lock in those profits. No one is telling you to sell right now. You just want to make sure that you protect those gains, especially if you were able to load up when it touched $1 or even when it was trading below 110. And since this play is catalyst driven, and as far as for the fundamentals, they are not profitable whatsoever. And in a high inflationary environment, this is not ideal. So there's going to be a lot of volatility, and that's why I put these videos together for you guys to make sure that you're prepared for it. So let's see how it performs on Tuesday, and of course I will continue to keep you guys inside of the loop. We'll talk soon.